Greetings YouTube, this is Boss Jinbei here, setting sail with you on yet another One Piece review. Today we're going to take a look at chapter 988. Sorry to keep you waiting. It's going to be a pretty brief review today because A, I don't have a ton of time, and B, because while I think it was a very good chapter, I don't think there's that much to actually discuss or look into in more depth very much. There's going to be a lot of power scaling fodder that comes out of this, but the chapter itself right now was very good for what it was, but I don't think that there's too much depth that we really need to go into. So let's just briefly go through what happened in the chapter, and we'll touch base on a few things that I think are of note or worth discussing. First up, we have the cover page with our boy Pound still chasing after Lola and Chiffon. I don't know where this cover page is going. It's been going on for over 30 chapters at this point, so I really hope, I hope that it would have some kind of big payoff at the end of this. Like, we're going to get to the end of this cover series and it's going to have them ending up in somewhere shocking, like, I don't know, Shanks' Island or something, or they're going to end up at Elbaf. It's something along those lines where it's going to have some kind of worthwhile payoff. But I just can't see what that's going to actually be at this point. Moving on into the chapter itself, we have Kaido and joined by Jack and some of the Beast Pirates on the roof. We have Raizo presenting to Jack that he was the one that they were protecting, that he was trying to get a hold of. We have some of the Minks from both the Guardians and from the Musketeers prepared to confront Jack. I believe there's one of the numbers there and the Beast Pirates, so that Inarashi, Nekomamushi, and the rest of the Scabbards can focus solely on Kaido directly. So that was very cool. We started seeing some of the Minks transformations, which just looked awesome. The fight itself actually didn't really get started, at least not that we could see. So that'll be interesting to see what Oda does with it in the next chapters, and that'll kind of actually is one of the first power scaling things that's going to come out of this chapter, is just how exactly strong of a power up is the Sulong transformation for the Minks. Where do they stack up against people like the Beast Pirate Fodder, one of the commanders, and Kaido himself? And then moving back down, we have Shinobu really trying to sneak Momo out of there behind King and Queen, which, I mean, I know she's a ninja and everything, but man, she really put herself out there for this one, because they're both right there. They both have some kind of observation haki, and she doesn't have an invisibility transformation or any kind of ninjutsu like that, so she was just trying to be as sneaky as she could, and yeah, it did not end well for her. King is showing himself as pretty savage in more ways than one in this chapter. But yeah, so he tosses Shinobu pretty hard, and that's when we get the reveal that many of us were expecting, that Momo gets freed by whom else but Sanji. Sanji shows up in his Mr. Prince attitude, or the way he acts, and tries to get Momo out of there. He blocks a kick from King twice, actually, I think. Once while he was invisible, once in his regular form. And that's kind of giving us a view of how much of a power-up the raid suit is. Hopefully we do see more of it, and hopefully we do see some of it combined with some levels of haki here in the upcoming chapters, whether it's Sanji versus King or Sanji versus somebody else. But he is in the raid suit in Onigashima, so I don't see him taking it off anytime soon. I can see him fighting in this suit going forward. Sanji tosses Momo back to Shinobu, gives Momo the thumbs up for his little speech about what his name is, which was a very cool moment, because we all know that Sanji doesn't really care for Momo too much, or didn't in the past, at least before he found out more and more of his story. But because they kind of share that pervy attitude, and there's only room for one pervert on the Sunny, and we all know it's Frankie. But and then King taunts Sanji and kind of changes into his full pterodon form and is trying to attack him, and is another evidence of King being a bit of a savage, because he's just taunting the shit out of Sanji, pardon my French. And it's very interesting to see King getting more and more characterization here. So yeah, he blasts Sanji through a wall, and if you notice, he actually and I haven't really seen anyone really mention this, but he actually blasts him into the building that Zoro cut. So whether in the upcoming, I think in the upcoming chapters, a lot of people are having an issue with this, that Sanji is facing off against King, that that's supposed to be Zoro's opponent, he has a sword, etc., etc. Some people think that maybe Sanji is going to fight King. They do share the ability to fly, they do share the fire connection, so maybe that would actually be the opponent, or some people, and then Zoro could move on to maybe be a main player against Kaido or something like that. There's also potential that, I hope this doesn't happen, but that Sanji gets walloped here and Zoro has to save him. Or, as some people think, maybe this will be an opportunity for Zoro and Sanji to team up against a first commander. And, if the two of them together can take out a first commander, that kind of gives us a ballpark of where they are compared to Luffy. So, it could all go a couple different ways. We're going to just have to see where that goes in the upcoming chapters. And we have another weird moment with Yamato where she's kind of tripping about whether Momo is her son, because she still thinks that she's Odin, or is kind of Odin, or something like that. It's really, really weird. I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more clarification on her character going forward, because she's kind of seeming more crazy than I think we all thought she was initially. And then we have Big Mom freaking out, throwing a Ikoku sovereignty, another Elbaf spear blasting through Onigashima. Pretty cool. It had the stuff with Nami and Zeus. Zeus trying to get away. Nami giving him attitude and him saying, "No, I can't disobey Mama," and stuff like that. So I don't know where that whole plot line is going. I don't know if Zeus is somehow going to stay with Nami if they defeat Big Mom. Presumably that would only happen if Big Mom doesn't die, because if Big Mom dies, everything stemming from her power should go away. And I mean, she should have the ability to always get rid of him, unless maybe she has to physically be there to pull the soul power away from him. But I just find some of the homie stuff a little bit interesting, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarification on exactly how that works going forward. Because with things like Napoleon going silent when Big Mom lost her memories and things like that, and Big Mom was knocked out, but her power still stayed intact, which is kind of similar to something like, I guess, Law. I think some of his OP Nomi effects stay in effect even when he gets knocked out. Whereas you have somebody like Sugar, where her, passive power, her ability that had been in play, if she gets knocked out, her power goes away. So it's interesting to see some of those distinctions between Paramecia fruits, and it'll be interesting to see if Zeus does end up being a permanent upgrade for Nami, and if potentially she gets Prometheus too, which would be kind of dope. But so we have that whole interaction, and then Big Mom gets him back, and then we have the finale of the chapter with Soul King and Frankie giving Big Mom a motorcycle to the face and cutting Zeus in half again. Some people are making a lot out of this moment. I think it was just a very cool moment. If you go through and notice, pretty much everyone on the Straw Hat crew at some point has got a W against Big Mom, or has somehow either memed her hard. That's where you're getting the big meme nickname coming in. But yeah, everybody on the crew, I think at this point, or almost everybody, has given her an L at some point, or insulted her, or did something against her that caused either physical damage or mental damage. So I think that's just Oda kind of trying to give the whole crew something against Big Mom. Whereas, and I think that's just going to be part of her characterization, is that the crew as a whole is her enemy. Whereas I think with Kaido, it might end up being a little bit more individualized. I think it might just be a Luffy opponent, or just Luffy and Zoro, and and definitely like the Supernovas. So it could be much more Kaido is an opponent for Supernovas, whereas Big Mom is more of an opponent of the Straw Hats. I don't know if that's going to be how the final fight or how they're taken down goes, but that I think has been their characterization up to this point. So yeah, really cool moment for Frankie, really cool moment for Soul King. I think it's going to be great in the anime, because Brook's singing is cool in the manga. You kind of get a bit of a feel for it, but in the anime, and with the voice actor who portrays him, it's a much better overall experience. And then that's the end of the chapter, and we have a break next week, which I think Oda fully deserves. I know it's been on break off and on for the past few weeks, months, but a lot of that has been either Corona stuff or Shonen Break going on, or Shonen Jump going on break as a whole. So I don't mind Oda getting some breaks here and there, and he's worked plenty hard for us. So if he even wanted to go to a permanent 1 week on, 1 week off schedule, I'd be fine with that. But yeah, so that was chapter 988. Like I said before, I think it was a very good chapter. I don't think there was a ton to discuss or talk about. There may be some power scaling things that come out of it, or I think it could lead to some, this is the start of giving us some clarification on where some of the characters should start slotting in post time skip. I think we're going to really see where Reitsu Sanji stacks in soon. We're going to see the Sulong transformation stacking in. I think we're going to finally get something from Frankie post time skip. The only thing we really had from Frankie as far as the battle goes is his amazing clash with Senor Pink. So I'd really like to kind of see what he can do, especially because I think he's been working on some weapons and stuff since he's been in Wano. We've seen his shipbuilding coming into play, some of his carpentry, some of his characterization has been good in Wano. But I'd really like to see him in at least a combat scenario, or showing off some of what makes Frankie Frankie. So I think that would be very cool to see here in the next coming chapters. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did any of the stuff in this chapter bother you, or did you just kind of take it for what it was and enjoy the story? I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I will see you in the next video.